Hello, I'm your Kingdom Spiritual Transformational and Life Purpose Life Coach and Mentor, Latricia Booker, here with Kingdom Business. We are empowered. When we heal, we get delivered and we get free. We know who we are. We elevate our minds and our spirits and raise and expand our consciousness to ultimately walk in our true divine purpose and power. And it is the truth of who God has created us to be. Kingdom people, we are history makers. We are world changers. We are dream successors. We are wealth generators. We are manifestors. We are curse breakers. And we most definitely are transformers more than meets the eye. Yeah, Kingdom people, we are. Kingdom people, thank you all so very much for viewing my videos. Thank you for all the likes, subscribe, shares, all your comments and feedbacks, and all your encouraging and inspiring words. Thank you all for all your financial contributions to my channel and for all the seeds that you so generously sow into me and my ministry. Thank you for all of your bookings and your purchases. Thank you, Kingdom people, for everything you do here on Kingdom Business. So, Kingdom people, I am on location and you already know what I'm here to do. And if you don't know, then now you know. I am here to drop this beat, this word, this message. Yeah. So, Kingdom people, I am the chain breaker, and you are chain breakers too. Are y'all ready to break these chains? Let's go. Come on, Kingdom people. Let me upgrade you. Let me activate you. Let me elevate you. Come on, Kingdom people. Come on. Kingdom people, listen up. This is your harvest time. You are in your harvest time. For many of you, it is your harvest time. For some of you, God is bringing you into your harvest. Let me explain. You've been walking with God. You've been seeking Him. You've been following His instructions. You've just been kind of trying to figure things out. And so for many of you, you have come to a place where God is moving you around. He's causing you, you're transforming. That's what I'm hearing. You're transforming. And in that transformation is causing you to have to do things different. You are no longer the same person. And so what's happening is that you're doing things different. You're having even different kind of relationships. In other words, the relationships that worked for you before no longer work for you. They no longer serve you. God is moving you into new, more productive, elevated relationships even. Because these people that He's moving you towards are in an elevated state. They are also people who walk with God, who do what God says, who follows God's instructions, who does what's pleasing to God. I'm hearing you all are equally yoked. You were unequally yoked with some people that you had to remove yourself from, or you became unequally yoked because you continue to elevate, you continue to grow, and some people stayed the same. Now, here's the thing. God kept giving me this depiction of weeds growing with wheat. And then He began to speak to me about how over the years, seeing things, learning things, becoming aware of things, how you can just go along with something, for some time and it can come to a halt. And He was saying that's because you were learning, you were growing. That was nothing new to me. But what I've learned in my own personal experience is I can go along with something for so long, especially if I'm feeling led to, in spite of what I'm seeing, in spite of if I'm aware of something that's not okay, because God was telling me that's because you're giving it a chance to grow. You're giving it a chance to transform as you are transforming. And I'm reminded right now of someone who told me years ago, just because you're growing and as time goes on you grow, it doesn't mean others are doing the same. And so that kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm speaking about. And so God was showing me how it may not necessarily be in my intention to allow it to change? Sometimes it was, but it was just the thing with God. That's what God had me, just going along with things, but paying attention, observing, and learning. So, kingdom people, you have been learning, growing, paying attention to things, but things came to a halt, to where something can happen or transpire, and you know, okay, that's it, that's enough. I have to stop this. I have to remove myself from this. I can no longer go there. I can no longer participate in that. I can no longer engage with this person. I have to sever this relationship, whatever the case may be. And it could be a combination of all of those things plus some others. And so what it is that all along you were learning and you were growing. And God was allowing things to happen and allowing you to experience things, because why, kingdom people? That's part of how we learn and we grow. And God literally showed me, you will allow people to hang themselves in many situations, not even trying to do that, not even thinking that. Although in some cases that is so, I would do just that. But in many of these cases, that's just how it turned out. People end up hanging themselves with that time that they had to learn and grow. Now, let me share the scripture that God gave me for this whole depiction and what he was showing me concerning this matter. Because, kingdom people, what it's coming down to is that it is your harvest time. It is your time for reaping what you have sowed. You have been sowing in good ground, and you have been sowing good things. Yeah, you may have made some mistakes, and life is trial and error. But when you learn better, you do better. You make better decisions, and you continue to move forward. And that's why, kingdom people, it is your harvest time. It is your reaping season. It is your time for reaping the blessings that God has for you. Now, Matthew 13:24-29. This is a little lengthy, so bear with me. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also disappeared. The weeds also appeared. Excuse me. The other servants came to him and said, Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from? An enemy did this, he replied. The servants asked him, Do you want us to go and pull them up? No, he answered, because while you are pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let them both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn. So, kingdom people, what God is saying here is that he allowed you to grow with the weeds. You're the wheat. You had a lot of weeds in your life. God allowed them to grow together. You all to grow together. The issue was this, kingdom people. Those people who didn't change their ways. Maybe some of them were, one of them was, some of them was who were coming against you, who were trying to dim your light, who were trying to keep you from moving forward in the things of God, those who may have been trying to stop and block you, whatever the case may be. Kingdom people, God allowed them an opportunity to change their ways. That's why he kept you there. He said, no, stay there and grow together. But as I was stating, the issue was you were a wheat growing. You grew into wheat, and they continued to grow as weed. So what they were putting in is what they were getting out. They were putting in discord. They was putting in deceitfulness. They were putting in manipulation. I'm hearing even witchcraft. They were putting in all these not so good things. So they were sowing bad seeds. And they were trying to even sow bad seeds in your good soil where your wheat, the wheat, was growing and rising. They were trying to contaminate you because they are a weed. They never changed. They continue to be a weed. And so God said, that's okay. Just stay there. So for some of you, And some situations, like I said, over years for many of us, especially when it concerns family, and this is not a message just about family, but it does involve family, because sometimes family are those weeds that were there growing with you as weeds while you was growing as wheat. And so God allowed it, he said. And it says here, didn't you sow good seeds? The servant came and asked the master, and the master said, yeah. And they wanted to know, well, how these weeds get here? And it's the answer was, enemy did it. So your enemy was the weed trying to sow bad seeds of weed in your soil, in your life, in your mindset, in your spirit. They were trying to break your spirit, break your confidence, stop you, and keep you from moving into the things of God. I'm hearing they were even sowing discord. And discord don't even have to be among other people. They were trying to discord. They were trying to sow discord within you, within your mind, within your spirit. Many people wanted you to be broken down in spirit and confused and lost. So they were sowing bad seeds. They were weeds right there. And the enemy sowed bad seeds. So the enemy here represents the weed, but the enemy here also represents the people who were trying to sow bad seeds, weed in your soil, where you are wheat, or where you are growing good wheat, good seed, good fruit, however you want to put it. And so what happened is, God said, allow it. I allow it to grow together. But again, you're growing as wheat, they're growing as weed. And what ultimately happened? He said, gather the wheat, gather the bundles of weed so that they can be burned. Initially, he said, that's okay, let them grow together. Why? Because you were growing, you were learning. You were learning what weed looks like. So when it came time for the harvest, because it's time for your harvest, kingdom people, God is grabbing all the weeds out of your life, putting them in bundles to be burned in the fire. So, kingdom people, that is why God is removing so many people out of your life, because it is your harvest time. Those weeds got to go and be burnt in a fire, because that's what is done with weeds. God only keeps the wheat, which is you, kingdom people. And what did he do with the wheat? Gathered the wheat to go into his barn. So you are in God's presence. You are in God's covering. You are in God's protection, because kingdom people, you are the wheat. Yes, God allowed the weed to grow right side by side with you. But what did they grow up as? Wheat, which was no good. God allowed it. But this is the thing too. While the wheat was there and growing while the weed was there and growing as weed and trying to contaminate your wheat, you never stopped growing. You continue to grow. It never had no effect on your growth. In fact, it may have fertilized your growth, because weed don't stop wheat from growing. It's just growing with it, but it's growing as weed, as wheat, as weed. Weed. And as we know, weed is toxic. We'll use that as to explain toxic people who are not growing in God and who are trying to infiltrate your life with their toxicity. But it wasn't happening, because you continue to grow as wheat, and you continue to grow as wheat, kingdom people, because God had his hand on you all along. And in many of these cases, you were seeing what was going on all along. Why, kingdom people? Because you were growing, you were learning. Now you know wheat when you see it, and you know weed when you see it. And when you see weed, you know to discard it, have nothing to do with it, turn away from it, kingdom people. Why? Because it's your harvest time. So what happened, kingdom people? God allowed you, the wheat, to grow with the weed. But now he's saying it's time for your harvest. It's time for you to receive what he has for you. So what is going on here, kingdom people? God had to remove the weed out the way, gather them in bundles so they can be thrown into the fire. And that's a whole nother message. We ain't even going to touch on that because it's your harvest time. So God allow those things and people in your life right up until it's time for your harvest. Why do you think that right at this time that you're going into your harvest, God is removing you from everything and not allowing you to allow anything into your life that's not wheat, that's not good, that's not of him? I mean, you too are not allowing it, because as you were growing with the weed, you were always in agreement and alignment with what God was doing. And in some of these instances, God was allowing that weed to be there. But now you know weed. Now you know how to get rid of the weed when it's time, if need be. Now you know how to not let weed into your life. You know weed when you see it. And I ain't talking about the weed we smoke, that's to be smoked. I just thought of that right now while I'm saying that. That's not what I'm talking about. But it could be that for some of you. It could be that. Maybe God is saying, let go of that weed. Hey, that's between you and God. But kingdom people, it is your harvest time. You are reaping the blessings. And the weeds has got to go. And you going into the barn because you the wheat. You going where your father said, let's go. He's telling you, let's go. Let's move into greater things. Let's move into what it is I have for you. Let's move into what it is I have for you to do for my purpose and my glory. He's kicking all the weeds out, and the weed has got to stay out. In fact, the weed is getting burnt in the fire. And I'm literally hearing it. That's a literal thing. Because anytime anybody has tried to come at you, mishandle you, tried to be all up in your business when it ain't none of their business, is what I'm hearing right now. When they have just tried to toy with you, tried to dim your light, anything inappropriate, God is saying they are being burned in a fire. And let me just tell you, you ain't got to pass from this earth, make a transition from your physical body to burn in a fire. Many of your enemies are burning in a fire right now, and they still existing on this earth. Notice I said existing, because they're not living. Because if there's no God in them, operating through them, there is no life. But you recognize them for who they are. You are able to recognize people who have life and have the life of God dwelling in them, the presence of God dwelling in them, and those who do not. That's part of what you were learning while God was allowing the weeds. And the weeds are still there. They're just not in your life. You're just not side by side with them. You just don't mingle with them and have anything to do with them anymore, because harvest time is here. And because harvest time is here for you, wheat, anointed one, chosen one, kingdom people, God's elect, because harvest time is here for you, wheat is not allowed. Wheat is not allowed. That time is over. That cycle has ended. It is your harvest time, kingdom people. You are reaping the blessings of God. Everything that he has for you. You are. I'm hearing, I wanted to say you are entering into your promised land. God said, you in your promised land. You are on the cusp of it. You've entered into it. You've been through your years of the wilderness. And for some of you, if you are still going through that, this message is for you as well. Because that's what you're coming to. You might still be growing up by wheat. By weed. You are wheat. I'm hearing you growing up by wheat too. Because God will give you wheat too. He'll give you others like you. But so you can have something to contrast, so to speak. So you would know. God ain't going to just leave you hanging. He going to give you everything you need so you can understand everything you need to know and see. He going to give you examples of weed, and he going to give you some wheat so you can see who's who and what's what. And he's always showing you. Always. You just have to listen, pay attention to what he's showing you, and listen to what he's saying. But kingdom people, yeah, you may have been around a lot of weed while you was all this good wheat growing and maturing and evolving and elevating and activating and transforming, all those wonderful things. And that wheat was right there trying to, being the enemy that it is, trying to tamper with your blessings, with your anointing, with your light. But it ain't nothing happening because they have been gathered away into thorns, into bundles, should I say. They already thorns. And they burning in a fire. Oh, they will be, something like that. But that ain't none of your business. Your business is continue to be this wheat and continuing to stay under the covering and the protection of God and continue to move in the things of God and reap your blessings, because kingdom people, it is your harvest time. Your harvest time is here. Your harvest time is here. All that weed stuff you had to go through is over. So be encouraged. I don't care what it looked like, but this is the thing. Many of you already know what you know. And this goes back to the message that I spoke not long ago. How when God win is not the question. It's happening now. Pay attention and just continue. May not show up the way you think it will in this whole big old explosive way. Because God is also silent in the way he does things. He's smooth in the way he does things. He don't, it ain't always a whole lot of theatrics around it. He'll ease you into things. He'll walk you into it. And it's happening as long as you continue to walk with him. Just continue to walk. If he's removing all these things out your life and all these people and having you move around and having you have these walls up, so to speak, to keep certain things and people out of your life, it's because he's walking you into your harvest. It's because your harvest is here. It is your reaping season. You are reaping the blessings. So just know that it is your harvest time. It is your harvest time. You are reaping your blessings. Okay? Okay. I am going to let that rest right there. Right here. If you like this video and or if it resonates with you, please just go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Then click on that red subscribe button and subscribe to my channel if you have not already done so. Thank you. Click on that bell right next to that red subscribe button so that you can get a notification every time I upload a new video, something like this from Kingdom People. Also, if you are interested in any of the services that I presently offer, if you would like to sow a seed into me or the ministry, also, if you want to check out my podcast show, you can find all the information right down below in the description box. If you are interested in joining and registering for the event on Thursday, January 27th, December. I'm all the way in January, Kingdom People. I be on the move. I'm telling you, I'm gone. Anyway, if you are interested in that event, that group life coaching event, you can find that information, that link right down below in the description box. It is the first link in the description box. So yeah, it is, I believe it's for 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, if I'm not mistaken. So if you would like to be a part of that group life coaching event, you want to go ahead and register. And yeah, Kingdom People, you all know that I love you so very much. I don't want to leave you, but I do have to go right now. But I will be back to hold my Kingdom People down. Now, Kingdom People, with that being said, much love, light, and peace, and many blessings to you all. Kingdom People, above all else, let the Holy Spirit lead you in all things at all times. Kingdom People, we are untouchable. That is my time. Jesus girl is out. Peace.